Welcome to Overwatch. This time, we'll be talking about Hanzo.
The dragon hungers.
In this video, we'll examine his equipment, abilities, and the playstyle Hanzo promotes. We'll be taking an in-depth look into the role of mobile assaults, and also the notion of a high finesse kit. Luckily, I had some hands-on time with Hanzo at the community event Blizzard ran, so I'll be talking from my own experiences, as well as that of others, and a number of the design principles that seem to guide the character. Hanzo is the specialist assassin of the current cast. With above average mobility and potentially very high damage output, as well as a vital role in gathering intelligence for the team, Hanzo will reward skillful play in a big way. A skilled Hanzo player could influence the game independently more than most heroes could, however this sword can potentially cut both ways, as we'll discuss later on. Let's begin with his abilities. Hanzo's primary weapon is his Storm Bow. The mechanics are similar to bows in most games: hold left click to knock and draw an arrow, and release to fire. Drawing for longer increases range and precision of the shot up to a maximum of a second. Keep in mind that while drawn, you move slower. A single arrow seems to deal about 125 hit points of damage. A headshot will end just about any non-tank. Next up is the Sonic Arrow, a very underrated ability in my opinion. This arrow sets up a pulsing zone that will provide visual indicators for the enemy's position, but do keep in mind it won't tell you who that is, only where they are. While this ability is on a long cooldown, using it correctly so that your team always has the edge when pushing or being pushed on will make the difference between good Hanzo play and great Hanzo play. Most dangerously, we have the Scatter Arrow. This ability fragments on impact into 3 separate arrows bouncing off terrain to deal damage to multiple targets. This ability gives Hanzo insane burst potential. One of the best ways I've seen this used is to fire it at the ground in front of a large target, causing the arrows to bounce up and deal massive damage instantly. Learning the intricacies of this ability will be incredibly rewarding, I feel. Finally, for normal abilities, we have Hanzo's movement option, the Wall Climb. Hanzo can climb vertical terrain, which allows him access to a number of otherwise inaccessible paths and vantage points. From my recollections, you can climb walls that lead to any place you can stand on, for example going up to a ledge. Just going up any random wall doesn't quite work. I also believe there's a visual indicator, so you aren't just nuzzling walls pointlessly. Hanzo's ultimate is his Dragon Strike. Dragon Strike summons a spirit dragon that travels in a straight line through the air. This tornado of furious dragons deals constant damage to anyone caught inside it. Think of it as a large moving zone of constant hurt, and you'll get the idea. One developer I spoke to mentioned that they're having a tough time getting the balance right on this, and I can see why. An unstoppable wave of damage can either win the game or do very little. We'll see how it ends up. Before carrying on, I want to spend a moment discussing the idea of a finesse assault compared to a more traditional assault. Before we proceed, let's look at our assaults and classify them accordingly. Reaper, Tracer, and Pharah I would describe as non-finesse. While Twitch skills will help, especially in Tracer's case, the notion of getting headshots or very precise damage is mitigated by their ability to retreat, evade, or the widespread of their damage. Even if you somehow miss an entire reload's worth of ammo, you have options to continue the fight and would have probably done damage regardless. Hanzo and McCree, however, I place on the finesse assaults, where Twitch skills suddenly matter in a huge way, Hanzo being on the more severe end of the spectrum. Getting headshots moves from being a nice bonus to near essential, as you'll be lucky to get off more than 3 or 4 shots before getting murdered. While Scattershot offers you an excellent way of avoiding the problem of precision, your ability to put a crosshair in the right place matters more for these characters than for others, with Hanzo being on the more severe end of the spectrum. Getting headshots moves from being a nice bonus to near essential, as you'll be lucky to get off more than 3 or 4 shots as Hanzo before getting murdered. This leads to a unique effect, especially for your average player. While 4 Pharahs and 2 Mercies could be somewhat effective, 6 Hanzos will suffer due to their inability to efficiently fight. The more precision a weapon requires in a first-person shooter, the more it requires people not to be actively fighting against the person using it, as dodging an arrow is easier than dodging Tracer's machine pistols. As such, Hanzo is at his strongest when acting as a surprise, and to do this, use your mobility, use your Sonic Arrow, and play smart. If you're prepared for the battle, the enemy is at an awful position already. In summary, play Hanzo if you like high skill but high reward gameplay. There's no way around it, missing with an arrow is going to be absolutely brutal. Aim well and you'll rack up kills, miss shots and you'll have a bad time. You enjoy tactical thinking, your movement gives you a lot more options than the average character, use height and get access to paths that others cannot. An enemy that doesn't see you coming is much easier for you to hit than one engaging you actively. Are willing to sink time into learning a fiddly skill. I really think scatter arrow could be something important as long as the arrows are predictable. With directional shields being a thing, using this well could be an art form. And finally, you like the old world Asian aesthetic, and like being shirtless. Guy uses a bow but still puts on a gun show. Pull up a chair and settle in, let's talk story. The Shimada family heads one of the few remaining assassin clans in Japan, currently remaining an influential crime family. Hanzo, the eldest son of the family, was expected to lead upon his father's demise. From a young age, Hanzo was specifically trained to rule the clan, becoming a master assassin himself as well as a formidable leader. Hanzo's natural aptitude for ruling a criminal organization was not, however, mirrored by his younger brother. Upon his father's demise, Hanzo was instructed to quote-unquote straighten out his brother. When his brother refused, Hanzo was forced into ending his life. This act broke Hanzo's heart, pushing him away from his inheritance and pushed him to question the path he was on. Now Hanzo wanders alone, trying to redeem himself. Hanzo is another independent in the Overwatch world, a former criminal and another classic storyline, the criminal looking for redemption. I suspect Hanzo's role in the story to be contemplative, a story of trying to find morals and honor. Characters like Reinhard and McCree, who are driven by their ethical decisions, would likely play an important role in stimulating that growth. But until we know how these independent characters function in the world, we can only speculate how much. Next time we'll be looking into the big heart of Overwatch, Winston. Thanks for watching to the end. I am but one channel amongst many, and I hope you learned a little about Hanzo. If you enjoy the video, you know what to do, like, sub, all that fluff. I enjoy reading your discussions and opinions, so feel free to comment if you agree or disagree with anything. Special thanks go to those of you who already are. Toodles.